Hello and welcome to a short video this time. You may remember that during 2017 and at the start of 2018 I did a series of reviews on the Dell XPS 9560 and reviewed it with regard to running Linux on it. After I'd finished those three videos I felt there was nothing else for me to say, and so I left that topic and moved on to something else. Now, in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of comments on these videos about battery life. I did mention it in one of the clips, but I didn't go into it any further, and I said it was bad. Now, since then, obviously, there's been a year that's almost passed since the very first video, and I've tweaked somewhat the whole battery thing on the XPS. So what I'm going to do in this video is tell you a few things that you can do to improve the battery life that I've done over the past year, and also give you the figure that I get on battery for day-to-day work. So the first point, install Fedora 28. I said all along that I was using Fedora, but it was largely up to you what distribution that you used. However, if you want good battery management, now Fedora 28 is the one that you should choose. And the reason why is because the guys at Red Hat have been doing a lot of work on this. Battery life on laptops running Fedora 28 is improved across the board, with various hardware power saving features now enabled by default. Now, ultimately, these changes will probably go back into the kernel, but at the moment, Fedora 28 is where you need to be. The examples that were given are SATA link power management improvements on idle, Bluetooth USB on idle, HDA codec default policies on idle, and they all save up to 2 watts when you have the laptop on idle, and they are actual improvements that you can see during your daily work. The links to these, to information about this, is in the description. The second point is Powertop and TLP. Powertop and TLP work in the background to improve the battery life of when you're working on the laptop. Now, I would advise to use either Powertop or TLP. I'm using Powertop and configured it correctly, but because I didn't have much luck with TLP, and it seemed to be a little bit buggy for me, but it may not be for you. So choose either Powertop or TLP, get it configured, installed and configured correctly to run on your laptop, and that you should see improvement in your battery life. There is, again, notes in the description about Powertop and TLP. Okay, one that I mentioned in the original videos was my problem with Nouveau, the driver that's included in a lot of the Linux distributions nowadays. If you've got an NVIDIA chipset, the Nouveau driver is supposed to be an open source implementation of the NVIDIA drivers. But as much as I love open source stuff, and I really try desperately to keep it open source right the way through, I have to concede on this one that the Nouveau drivers are not up to standard as yet, and I had to ultimately disable Nouveau and install the proprietary NVIDIA drivers. It was a horrible thing for me to actually admit that I had to do this, but without it, you're never going to get good battery life. The fundamental reason is in this particular laptop, the XPS, it's got an Intel graphics card in the Intel chipset and an NVIDIA graphics card, and by default they're both on, which does terrible things to your battery life. So disable Nouveau, get your NVIDIA proprietary graphics drivers installed, and that's a good start. And my final tip is one that I think saves me the most battery life during my day-to-day work, and that is a Gnome extension called CPU Power Manager. Now, you can install it like you would normally install a Gnome extension. You can either go to the extensions.gnome.org website, or you can do it through the software manager. But install this because it's really good. What it does is it gives you in the I've got mine in the menu across the top, but it gives you 4 profiles out of the box. Now, you don't need to use these, you can delete them all and create your own, but the 4 profiles seem to be good for me and do me well. And those 4 profiles are energy saver, quiet, multimedia, and high performance. And it allows you to change between the profiles depending on what you're using your laptop for. Now, most of the time, when I'm just watching YouTube videos or doing a bit of scripting or writing a document, I am in my energy saver mode. There's no reason to go out of that. It's perfectly performant and it really, really does help me out on battery life. Obviously, if I want to go to and do a video like this and do a lot of encoding, then I'd put into my high performance mode or the multimedia mode, and then I would flip it back down to energy saver once I've completed the encoding. This single manual management of the CPU really cuts the battery, increases the battery life. It doesn't cut it, it increases the battery life. You know, it's really noticeable if I do this. So I would advise you to get this installed. Again, in the description, there's links to this Gnome extension. So now I've got those little hints and tips out of the way, you'll be wanting to know what actually my battery life is now, but I'm not going to tell you immediately. I'm going to leave you hanging for a little bit. First off, I've got a little video which has 2 screencasts of some YouTube footage, and one is streaming at 2160p, one is streaming at 1440p, and I wanted to show you using the different CPU manager profiles how we can eke out the battery life. Now, I'm going to put them on screen and I'm going to put some music behind it and speed it up with a little clock so you can see how long, if I was just streaming high quality YouTube footage, how long you would get out of the battery life. Now, this might not be a realistic test, but it's one that I did way back in the original videos. So I'm going to repeat it here with a couple of different options. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll come back after this video and I'll tell you what I get in my battery life. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it gave you some insight of what battery life you would get if you were consistently streaming high quality video from YouTube. It may not be something that you do all the time, in which case you can ignore it safely, but I thought it would be nice, considering I did the original test like this in the original videos, of what I'm getting sort of now with different profiles and different resolutions. Okay, now this is the figure that you've been waiting for. The battery life of my XPS 9560, which is now here with lots of stickers on. You'll be wanting to know what I actually get under normal working conditions when I'm unplugged from the mains. And I can tell you that the figure is 4 hours, 39 minutes. I did it yesterday, just using normal circumstances, doing a bit of email, reading a few documents, writing some script, and also viewing some YouTube videos. And that is what I got, 4 hours, 39 minutes. Now, I'm sure I could tweak that a little bit longer if I did things in a different way, but that was just normal circumstances. And that was using the Gnome extension CPU Power Manager on the Energy Saver profile. So I hope that helped you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did, and thanks for watching.